Hi friends, tracy.bish here, Stampin' Up demonstrator in Central Victoria, Australia. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another video with using the Bikes and Blooms Paper Pumpkin Kit. I'm sharing with you the 3 cards that come as the kit projects, and then I've also got 4 cards here that are alternative cards that I've done previous videos for that you can find here on YouTube. We are going to be creating very simple cards using the same Bikes and Blooms kit, just adding a bit of extra cardstock and some ink, so nothing super exciting. But if you haven't seen those 4 projects there, or all those cards there, check out my YouTube channel after you finish with this video and you'll see all those tutorials there as well. So today we're going to make 6 beautiful simple cards. They're actually going to come together really quickly. As you can see, this video is only 14 minutes long and we're going to make 6 cards, so they do come together really nicely. So this first one, I'm using basic white thick cardstock as our base, and then also a matting piece of basic white. I really liked how this popped up a little bit, but honestly, you want to make it a little bit more simpler than that. Take away that matting piece and just put this card together on your card base. It would work fine. So I've gone through my scrap bin and I've found the a scrap piece of crumb cake cardstock, and I've run it through using that plaid embossing folder that we have. I love how that turned out. To me, it looks like a basket, which is exactly what I was looking for. And it was just a little bit too plain without adding a little bit of ink to it. So I've come in with some crumb cake ink and a blending brush and just added a little bit of ink to that as well. So it gives it a nice little basket look and gives it a little bit of extra texture as well. And I've just sort of cut around there and rounded the corners to make it a little bit more like a basket. In this kit there is linen thread, so I'm going to use some of that today just to wrap around that basket. This also ties it all in a little bit nicer. Gives it a little bit more texture as well, and gives you something else to look at. To me, I think that basket would be a little bit plain without it, but you know, if you have already used all that linen thread or that thread that came in the kit, that's okay too, don't worry about it. You could also add a few more little flowers on there as well. So I've taken this die cut, and this one is designed where you can stamp using the stamp set that comes with the kit. I've just actually used the add-on dies, which is those wonderful dies. Absolutely amazing. I love that Stampin' Up with the Paper Pumpkin kits have add-on dies for every 3 months. So we've just gotten a new one out for the next 3 months. So that's super amazing. But these I can keep using. So I have die cut 3 of those flower dies in Melon Mumbo ink, and I've just added them down with some mini glue dots. So it's really easy. I've glued that all together and we're going to pop it up with some dimensionals. Now, I thought, you know, this looks so good. You know, I'll add a sentiment and we'll be done with this card, which, you know, it does work out that way, but we're going to do a few extra things because I thought it did look just a little bit too plain. Now, I have what I thought all the stamps for the kit on my desk. I also had an extra one here, which is this Hi Friend one. It actually comes from last month's Product of the Month kit. Or Product of the Month stamp set, and I didn't realise it wasn't part of the kit, but you know, use what you have in your stash as well. You don't have to just stick to the sentiments that come in the kit. I'm sure we all have other stamps in our kit, and if you've been doing Paper Pumpkin for a couple of months or for a long time, I'm sure you have lots and lots of stamps with sentiments in there. So we're just going to add that down using the Melon Mumbo ink. And as you can see, I've also used that stamp set. There's a set of 2 butterflies and a 1 butterfly. I've gone with that set of 2 butterflies. And there we have it. How nice is that? So that's our first card. Moving to our second card, we're going to make this very simple. I've taken that die cut. I actually had 2 of those left, so you're going to see some cards made with that. We're going to take one of those labels that come in the kit, and I've stamped Best Wishes with Lost Lagoon ink. And I'm also using that extra die cut of the shelf with flowers, a fern and some books, and that was the card. Really easy. Just tricking it up with some of the die cuts in the kit, and I thought that turned out really well, matted onto a Lost Lagoon card base. So that's card 2. Okay, let's move on to card 3. Now, again, this is where I'm going to bring in that second card that we used here, and we're going to cut it up to actually make 2 cards, 2 separate cards. So what I've done is I've actually cut that card piece down at 4.5. I've cut that piece down. Then we're going to cut it in half at 2 inches, and then we're going to cut them down into strips at 1.5 inches. So it's going to give us those three little squares and then that strip. I don't actually use that strip, but there we have it. So again, Lost Lagoon card base we have here. I've got a piece of basic white and a piece of old olive to mix in all those colours that go with this cardstock. And we're going to mat those pieces down. I've stamped the Have a Lovely Day sentiment that comes in that set with Pecan Pie, which is, again, we're matching all those colours in together. And I'm also going to die cut using those add-on dies, some Lost Lagoon butterflies, which I thought really tied it all in just beautifully. Now, you could have popped up that sentiment. I thought, just using that spare piece in the side there, that would work really well. And I have gone in and just used an exposed brick, I believe it is the embossing folder. It just needed a little bit of something in the background. If you could use whatever embossing folder you have, but it did need a little bit of texture, I thought. So you can trick these cards up, or you can keep them as plain as you like. But there is card 3. So we're going to use the leftover pieces of that card there. And for this one, I have, again, Lost Lagoon card base. I've got a piece of Pecan Pie cardstock as our base here, layering up that picture of the bike. And then I've brought in just my white ink, and I've stamped Have a Lovely Day and some flowers there as well. Now, you're going to have to be careful with that. It will take a little bit to dry, but I don't smudge it at all. So adding them down with a little bit of glue, and then I've die cut 3 of those flowers, set of 3 flowers, and I'm just going to adhere them down behind that focal piece and popping that up with some dimensionals. So we have 3 cards there, just using 2 of those pieces of that die cut piece. So there we have it. That is card 4. Let's move on to card 5, and I hope that you're enjoying this. Please give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you're enjoying this content, and hit that subscribe button as well. So for this one, this is such a simple one. This is my husband's least favourite card. He let me know. That's funny. I'm using one of the card bases from the kit. I'm also using an envelope piece that was left over, which is the front of the envelope. We're going to use that as our matting piece. I've stamped the bike image down onto basic white thick cardstock and used crushed curry ink for that. I'm just going to quickly fussy cut that down and pop it down. Now, I thought this was my idea. Yeah, that looks good. It looked a little bit plain for me, so of course we have to, muck around with it a little bit more. I've taken that single image of the butterfly, and I did muck around with the label there a little bit, but I decided against it. Okay, so bringing in that single butterfly, I'm just going to stamp around that piece, leaving that square in the middle completely untouched. I didn't want to muck with that. And for the sentiment, I have actually just come in with the thank you sentiment and stamped the bottom of the card base. So I actually thought that this turned out really well. Yes, it's probably a little bit plainer than the other cards, but I think my husband was just a little bit too harsh with me with his critique of my cards. But yeah, this was his least favourite, and he was very happy to let me know that he didn't like this card. Okay, moving on to the 6th and final card. I've used the Old Olive card base. I've got a die cut piece of that Old Olive piece, and then this is just that one piece that's underneath is actually just a strip of envelope that's left over from the kit, and I've got that die cut there as well that I've just stamped 3 of those group of flowers with crushed curry ink, and I've got one die cut piece which is actually just left over from another project, and I've cut them 3 pieces away from each other to adhere them down. And then I do have some of those butterflies, the silver butterflies from that kit. we're going to be using those on this card as well. And I did play around with that label a little bit. I really didn't like it. So again, I've just stamped the card base with Old Olive ink. And again, I've used that Hi Friend from that other set. So, you know, mix and match your stamps for your sentiments. You know, I love that there's a few sentiments in each Paper Pumpkin kit, but use what you have in your stash, because sometimes not all the sentiments are going to work for you. So, you don't want to make cards that you're not going to be able to really give out too much. And I end up putting down, how many? 2, 3, 5 of these butterflies. So super cute. And this is our 6th and final card. So 6 very, very simple cards using the Bikes and Blooms Paper Pumpkin kit. I really hope that you've enjoyed these very simple cards. These are actually cards for my Tracy Sunday challenge. Again, I'm a little bit late this week. I will get my act into gear. I've got to try and work a week ahead, otherwise I'll never get it done. But anyway, it's all good. So if you'd like to join in Tracy's Sunday Challenge, please come over and join in. There's a new challenge up for this week. And yeah, hopefully I can get a video out before it's over again. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, you live in Australia, you certainly can. There is a link in the description of this video. And if you do purchase Paper Pumpkin, not only can you create the cards that are in the kit, but there'll be alternatives that I'll give you lots and lots of information and ideas for each month. So please come and join in, purchase that Paper Pumpkins kit through me, and, you know, yeah, let's have some fun with Paper Pumpkin. All right, everyone, thank you so much for spending a bit of time with me today. I really hope that you have an amazing day. Don't forget to give that thumbs up, share this video with your friends and family, subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what your favourite card is. Let me know if my husband was being a little bit harsh with me with his critique. You know, I'm fine. It really didn't faze me. Anyway, alright everyone, have a wonderful day. See you all soon. Bye!